Someone might say, "Thank you, sir," or "this guy over here." Maybe they just see what they assume to be a feminine, possibly gay guy who's cross-dressing. Before puberty, I didn't think about gender at all. I had a concept that I'm a boy and that there were other children who were called girls, but I just didn't really know what that meant. Actually, the sexuality was the biggest thing. All that testosterone is hitting you at that age. So I started masturbating. I started experiencing that as physical pain. I think for me, focusing on the female orgasm was a way to compensate for the fact that I couldn't experience a female orgasm. You know, most of the girls that I was with kind of just expected sex to be over when I reached climax. I had no idea that I'd pushed my identity so deep down. I was just so in denial that the thought of transitioning from male to female was just an imaginary thing in my mind. I went crazy and I had another identity crisis and I shaved my head. I was trying to reconcile myself with my male body and see if there was any way that I could still be okay with it. That I could just go back and forget about everything that I had realized about myself. How unfair it is that I have to exist like this. Sometimes I just lay in bed and cry for hours after I come home from work. You know, I had thoughts of suicide sometimes. Even now that I've made all these breakthroughs, I know that the transition is happening with HRT and everything. His name was Andy. We went to the mall, we saw a movie and tried on women's clothes at Dillard's, got pretzels. As he was driving me back home, I had my hand on the rest in between. He looked over at me and he said, "I had a really good time today." And he just put his hand on my hand and squeezed it. And then in that moment, I was like, I'm not gay. See, my dad, he was physically abusive to my mother. They separated when I was a year old. I hate the example that my dad had on me, so I should just try and be a better man than my dad ever was. It's so crazy. I feel like at the point where I had finally perfected the mask of my masculinity was when it all shattered and I realized that I was transgender. My stepdad is another story. When I was in high school and I was going through that phase where I felt like I wanted to wear nail polish and lipstick and fishnet shirts, he would take all of that stuff and throw it away. So I would buy things and just keep them in my backpack and then go into the bathroom at my high school and change. Anything feminine that I did whatsoever was immediately attacked. Coming out to my mom, it was not so much telling her you don't have a son anymore, as just I'm the girl that you probably always knew that I was. Having my mom acknowledge me as her daughter was more uplifting than I can put into words. Not all trans people have that. And if it had just been my mom, I probably would have come out as trans years ago. In spirit, I'm more of a tomboyish, genderqueer, lesbian girl.
My life has been roses